This mini lecture will focus on outlining your speech. So you have chosen a speech topic, you've gathered some credible research or sources, you have actually read your sources, and you've taken some notes or have a general idea about what you hope to talk about in your speech. And this will, of course, become your main points. So now what do you do? Well, there are three different types of outlines we're going to talk about. In this course, speeches are delivered in an extemporaneous fashion, which means they are prepared ahead of time and they're delivered from a delivery outline or note cards. Now, you're going to start by creating a working outline. There are actually going to be three different outlines that you will be creating. So let's first take a look at the working outline. This is just a handwritten sketch of what you find as you read through your sources. You may change as you formulate your speech plan. You may have an idea about what you're going to talk about, but then after you gather information, you modify that some. Your working outline generally includes just the main points with some necessary subpoints. So let's say that your topic is growing your own vegetables. Your specific purpose is to inform my audience about the 3 easiest plants to grow in your backyard garden. And through your research and through perhaps your own experience, you've decided that you're going to talk about green beans, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Now you'll also notice that there are subpoints for each of these main points, and the subpoints are listed as A, B, and C. You may also see on this outline that the subpoints for each one of the main points is the same. So for green beans, I'm going to talk about a few types of green beans. I will have planting instructions and how to eat or how to prepare them. And I use those same subpoints for tomatoes and for cucumbers. Now it does not have to be done this way. It very much depends on your speech topic and your overriding goal. But in this example, this would allow the audience to follow along with your speech more clearly. So you have this nice working outline, you've gathered some information, and the next important step is to write your central idea. If you remember back to that mini lecture, I said that sometimes your central idea can be developed before doing any research, but oftentimes you need to wait until you see what kind of research you're going to use. So for the example we used with growing your own vegetables, our central idea could be, I want my audience to know about 3 vegetables that are easy to grow in a backyard garden, including green beans, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Notice that I have previewed my main points when I develop my central idea. This keeps my speech very focused. I'm not going to be talking about zucchini. I am not talking about other things to grow in the garden. I'm not talking about typical garden pests. None of those things. I'm going to be talking about green beans, tomatoes, and cucumbers. I have a very focused central idea that is written as one declarative sentence. So you have your research, you've developed your working outline. Now it's time to start truly developing your speech. And this next outline that you will prepare is going to be your longer preparation outline, or you could call it your practice outline. This outline is much more detailed. It's much longer than your working outline, and it's going to include everything that you plan to say during your speech. You will use this preparation outline to practice your speech, and so that you become very familiar and comfortable with the research you will be and the material you will be presenting. Your preparation outline includes many parts. At the top of your preparation outline will be your topic, your specific purpose, and your central idea. You then have an introduction. Your introduction will include different parts, and there will be a separate mini lecture and material presented about the introduction. You will then have the body of the speech. This is where most of the information is contained. And finally, you will have a conclusion, some way to wrap up your speech. You, of course, will include your list of works cited or your bibliography. Transition statements will be written throughout your preparation outline, and we will talk more about these at a later time. And you're also going to want to write your citations, your sources, the information you're going to say during your speech, which is called oral citations. This is how you will say your source during your speech. And again, we'll talk about that in another time. So let's focus on the speech body. First, you should never write your outline in paragraphs. You want to use outlining format. Whether you use Roman numerals and numbers and letters is not really what's important. You should use fairly full sentences in a preparation outline. Remember, you're going to use this outline to prepare for your speech. You'll be reading through it numerous times so that you become very familiar with the information. And the body of the outline will include main points and then subpoints, kind of the supporting details. So here's an example. You would have your first main point, and under that you would have subpoints. You may even have what's called sub-subpoints, which would be a subpoint of a subpoint. Once you've completed talking about the main point, you would have a transition statement between the first and the second main point. This allows your audience to know that you are moving on to a different topic. So going back to our example about growing vegetables, I had green beans, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Imagine that I have finished talking about green beans. I would want some statement to let the audience know that I'm now going to be talking about, for example, tomatoes. So I could say, well, we've now learned about the types of green beans, how to grow them, and some delicious recipes that you can use to prepare your green beans. Let's now focus on tomatoes. That is a simple statement that allows your audience to know that you're done talking about green beans and you're now going to talk about tomatoes. Main points are the important parts of your speech topic. This is the overriding theme. Remember, those main points are going to be included in your central idea. The subpoints are the supporting details of your main points. The transitions link your speech together and serve as a type of roadmap or GPS for your speech, telling your audience where you're going to be going. So when we create our main points, we want to use complete sentences or mostly complete sentences. We would have only one idea for each main point. We would want to use declarative sentences. Main points should be fairly balanced, although there are times where you may have more information about one main point and less information about another main point. And using parallelism, which is what I did with the green beans, tomatoes, and cucumbers, can be helpful. This is where we use similar words and phrases for main points and for subpoints. Sometimes that works for a topic and sometimes it doesn't. That's something that you can decide, remembering that you want your audience to understand the overriding theme of your speech. When you're developing your subpoints, this is kind of the filling or the content that gives your speech substance. They elaborate and add detail to each one of your main points. Now, subpoints could be facts, it could be statistics, it could be testimony or stories, it could be examples. And as I said before, subpoints can have subpoints themselves. Using parallelism with subpoints can be helpful to the listener. Now, you can find numerous examples of preparation outlines in the text for both informative and persuasive speeches, and I also have included examples of preparation outlines in D2L for you to review. So you have this wonderful preparation outline. You've used it to practice your speech. You know that based on the information you have in your preparation outline that you are falling within the time limits of the speech. Now what do? Well, what you do not want to do is use that preparation outline to deliver your speech. It has too many words on it. Most of you will find that you end up reading the preparation outline, which significantly detracts from the enthusiasm and the amount of eye contact you can have. So what you'll want to do is take that preparation outline and develop a delivery outline. Now, the delivery outline is just a shortened version of your preparation outline. So again, you should never deliver a speech from a preparation outline. Now, the delivery outline can be created on paper or you can use note cards. I personally like using note cards, but you need to decide what will work best for you. So this lesson is focused on types of outlines in the speech body. We know that introducing and concluding a speech is important, but they are so important, they're going to get their very own lesson. Transition statements are very important, and they also get their own lesson. Orally citing your sources also get their own lesson. So I guess you could probably conclude that these things are important.